Hello, this is Mark Shinesk with Seiler Design Solutions. And in this video, we're gonna have some fun today since we're on a stay-at-home order. We're gonna show you. I decided to do a little project in my backyard. I put together an Infraworks model of my neighborhood and my house area here, and we've always talked about putting like some kind of sitting place or gazebo in the backyard. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and put together a little site model, give kind of an idea of what it's going to look like. So I'm going to touch upon several pieces of the AEC collection. And then from there, we're going to transfer it over to Trimble SiteVision and actually take the model as we place it, go outside, and visualize it. See what it looks like on the site. Does it look good? What kind of obstructions I'm going to have? Is my model good, etc. So we're gonna have some fun today. Sit back. I hope you enjoy it. We'll go ahead and begin. So I've gone ahead and put together an Infraworks model of my neighborhood. I flew this with a Phantom 4 drone. I did some terrain modeling in Infraworks, so I'm not going to show you how to set that up particularly in this video, but I got a pretty good representation. It's not perfect. I don't have a red vehicle, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I have a model of a gazebo. I'm going to slide back in this area here, do a little landscaping, export that out, and show you how we're going to take that out of Infraworks and into a couple other programs, the AEC Collection, eventually to get it over into SiteVision. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add a new proposal. I'm gonna call this gazebo site. We'll call this video because I already have one made that I've already done. So we'll show you, in case something happens here. So I'm going to go ahead and I made a new proposal. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay that gazebo out here. I have a SketchUp model I found of a gazebo, and I'm just going to go ahead in my data sources and go ahead and load that SketchUp model. So I'm going to connect to my data. I keep all my 3D models in the location here. I put that under landscape furniture. And there's my gazebo SketchUp file. So I'm going to bring that in. It's going to connect to the data. Now I'm using the online data transferring, so it is using Navisworks to do the conversion and bring it in. So now it's in here. I'll go ahead and configure it. I'm going to say this is a we'll say it's a piece of city furniture. Whether it's a city furniture building, it doesn't matter at this juncture here. I'm going to go interactive placing, and I'm going to put it someplace right about in here. That looks good. It's about where I wanted it. All right, and then I'll close and refresh, and it'll go ahead and bring that in there. Now I'm going to change it. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. I want that entrance to face more towards the front there. Slide it around a little bit. There we go. That's good. Looks like I'm going to have to do a little bit of grading in the back there, right? So I'm going to use one of the, this is a beta, this isn't ready for prime time, but it's a beta object in Infraworks. I'm going to go ahead and create, and under environment, I'm going to create a land area. And the land area kind of does some grading as well as make terrain holes or water. So I'm going to just choose a flat grass material, and I'm just going to draw around this. I'm going to say, okay, we're gonna need a pad to set this on. So I'm going to go to a top view, click, double click to end. Okay, and that will add my land area. Okay, so now you see that's brought that up. All right, now I can use this for some kind of grading area. Maybe I want to bring that up a little bit, so I'm going to bring it up a couple feet. Have it shape the land. I'm going to make some manual grading here. I've gone ahead and created a style that does a 10-foot grass grading strip all the way around that pad until it matches the existing ground. So that's what I've got. That's my initial model. I'm going to go ahead and switch to another model. It's going to be slightly different, but this is going to match the one that I've already done. But you see, I've placed the grading model. I've made a pad and given it its assigned area. Okay. So from here, what I'm going to do is I need to take this model. This is the model I want to take into SiteVision, including the grassed area. But I got a little bit of work to do to make sure it falls into the right location. So I don't want to have to place this out in the field. I want this to drop right in place. So from the top view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the Present Share and I'm going to export out a 3D model. I'm going to draw a polygon of the area I want to export. So we'll just draw a polygon that fully encompasses the gazebo plus the land area. My target coordinate system, this was already set up in my Infraworks model. I am going to change the offsets to user defined. I'm going to get rid of these. It just helps it come into 3ds Max a little easier. I'm going to do a single file. This is going to come to my desktop, and I will go ahead and export that. Okay, so this is going to export a single FBX file of just the area that's clipped in there. Now, I can't bring that directly into Civil 3D. I got Civil 3D open here now as well, but I can't bring it directly into Civil 3D at this time. I have to do an intermediate step, and this is where having the AEC Collection comes in handy. Now, there are some other programs that you can import an FBX and then export it out to a format that Autodesk can read or AutoCAD can read. But with the AEC Collection, we're going to use 3ds Max as a step over point. So I have a brand new blank model here in 3ds Max. I'm just going to go ahead and say File, Import, and then Import again. I'm going to browse for that FBX file. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to bring it in and just using the defaults, Autodesk Media and Entertainment. I'm not going to change any of the defaults on this import. I'm just going to bring it straight in. And there is my model. And once I get here, now I may go through and I don't want the existing ground. All I want is the proposed gazebo and the proposed land. So I can select those objects here in one of these views and get rid of those. And maybe I'll just change it to a single view perspective or something like that. Actually, we'll go back to our 4 view. Okay, so here's our standard view. We got it. This is our, now don't notice the materials look a little bit different. We're actually going to get rid of those. SiteVision can't read these materials. When we bring this into AutoCAD, we'll go ahead and we'll filter those out. But at this stage, we're done with this. What I'm going to do here is say File, Export, Export, and we're going to save it as an AutoCAD DWG. Okay, I'll throw this on my desktop, and I'll call this Gazebo Site Video again, and hit Save. Okay, export version, use the entire scene, keep all these defaults, and say OK. And now it has gone ahead and created my AutoCAD drawing. So back here in Civil 3D, I got to do 2 things. Back here in Infraworks, I'm going to exit Infraworks at this time because I cannot import an Infraworks model while the model is open. So I'll close. Let's see, I'm going to go to Civil 3D. So Civil 3D is my next step. So we're getting closer. Now, to bringing in models in Trimble SiteVision, I can bring in SketchUp models. I can bring in Land XML files. I bring in shape files, and I can bring in AutoCAD drawings of 3D. So that's why I'm going this route, because I have the programs to do this. I'm going to export out from Infraworks to 3ds Max and bring that model into Civil 3D. Now, the downside about bringing that model from Infraworks to Civil 3D is I lose my location. Okay, I don't have a location in here, but that's okay. We're going to use the Infraworks model again a second time to replace this in the correct spot that I had it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that drawing that I just saved, and then here it is. I can switch over from a wireframe view to a shaded view or a realistic view, and you can see, you know, some materials came in, some didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply colors to these instead. So I'm going to highlight, you know, that first model there and the first piece, and I'm going to change the color to, I'm going to use one of these colored book colors, and I'll choose a nice light brown for that roofing material. Let's get down here. There we go. Maybe a nice, if I could find one here. There we go. A nice tan for that top. For the rest of the model, maybe I'll choose a nice, a darker brown from the coloring book there. There's a nice wood brown. Let's go down a little bit. There we go. Excellent. And I'll do that for this one as well. I'll use the same color. And then for these panels here, maybe I'll use the same color as the roof. Okay. The leaves, that's easy. I'll make those a nice bright green. The grass, I'll choose another color, maybe from the coloring book. A nice grass green here. Something that will blend in, okay. Okay, and if I wanted to, I can change individual panels. For those of you who aren't used to dealing with 3D models in AutoCAD, if I hold my Shift and my middle mouse button, that will let me freely orbit around so I can see the model. You can see the view cube moving appropriately with it, and I can, of course, zoom in and out. There are a couple tools that I will bring in. Usually I will turn in my 3D object snap and my selection filtering and my dynamic UCS. If I'm doing 3D modeling, my gizmo as well. So using the hamburger menu in the lower right, I will typically turn these values on. 3D object snap, obviously we can use different object snaps that we would, similar to what we'd use for 2D lines. The selection filtering is really good. So instead of selecting the entire model, I can come here to the selection filtering and say, hey, just select the face. And I can select a particular face of the model. Or if I wanted to change that flag color because it was modeled as part of the remainder of it, maybe I can change, I can select all of these. Oops, I got to make sure I have face selections turned on. And I can select all these faces and say, okay, for those faces, instead of the rest of the model, make that flag red. And then, you know, I can make any changes I need to there. So you can select individual faces, change colors, do any kind of work that you need like that. But this is my general model. This is how it's going to look when it comes into SiteVision. With that, though, unfortunately, it is not in the right coordinate system anymore. So it used to be in Missouri 83 state plane US foot, but we've changed that. So in order to do that, I got to do another step here. I'm going to start a new drawing, and from that new drawing, I'm going to go to my settings. I am going to set my drawing settings to be my selected coordinate system. So Missouri 83 Eastern Zone US foot. That is my coordinate system I'm in. And I'm going to open up that Infraworks model. So I had that Infraworks model that I initially exported out my gazebo and site from. Now I'm going to use the same thing to import that entire model into this drawing. Okay, so I'm going to get to that drawing. It's going to read it. It knows what coordinate system it is in. It knows the coordinate system of my drawing that I just set. And I'm just going to go ahead and open the model. Okay, it's going to bring in the entire model. I could have just chose the proposed items, and it would have made life maybe a little bit easier, but it's not going to be too hard to find my drawing. Okay. So here's my my Civil 3D drawing. If I zoom in, this is the location where I place that gazebo. It is a proposed model item, so maybe I'll go ahead and I'll change it to a proposed style so it stands out a little bit, and maybe I'll edit that style. so that when I'm in a model view, the triangles be a nice bright yellow. Okay, fine. Okay, so now if I rotate to a 3D view, that should change my view style there. And so now that stands out. That's that location where my gazebo was at. Okay, I can either take this surface here, my existing surface, because I'm not going to need it, and surface properties, I will set that to a no display. There. No, that's the same location. That's the actual location in Infraworks that I picked my model. So I'm going to use that to place my new model down. So saving this drawing, I will save this drawing as this will be home test was the name of AIW model. Okay. Now back here in the gazebo site video model, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to set my drawing settings. I'm going to make sure that's set to Missouri 83, Eastern Zone US foot. And I'm going to X reference. And I'm going to add that home test AIW model in here as an overlay. And I'm going to use that to move this model to the right location. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to change this back to 2D wireframe so everything's wireframed out. I'm going to come here to the View tab. Under Viewport Configuration, just to make life easier because they're so far apart, I'm going to split my viewport in two. Zoom extents on the right side, and here's my Infraworks model that's referenced in here. Oops, there's my gazebo right there. Here's my model that's way down here near 0, 0. So now I'm going to just issue a move command. And I'm going to use the corner of this pad to start with. And then when I click over here, I can use that same corner of the pad. Notice the triangles line up perfectly. And now I've moved that exported FBX model to, that's one thing. It'd be nice if Infraworks exported out 3D models that weren't, the bridge items, but at this time it doesn't. Then I'll go to my X reference and I'll detach that existing site because I don't need it anymore. And there's my model placed in real world coordinates. Okay, so we're good to go. My geolocation's on. I could test this. I can go to my geolocation and I can turn my map aerial on and it should fall into the right location. Yep, there it is. So I double checked it. It's good. It's in the right spot. I'm now able to bring this into Trimble Catalyst. In order for this, now I could drop this into Trimble Connect. Sorry, I could drop this into Trimble Connect just as it is, or I do need to add a couple more items for it to fall into place. If I bring this into Trimble Connect now and bring it into SiteVision, I'm going to have to manually place it. So if I pick a couple Kogel points, let's say I use the edge of pavement here just as a general. Now, typically for this, you would set known control points because you want to be able to say yes and verify that you're in the right spot. So I could pick any 2 points or any point. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to have to create a JXL file. So there's one file that's not part of the AEC collection that has to be created. That's a JXL file. I can do that in Trimble Business Center. I can also do it with Trimble Access. I can create and export out a JXL from there as well. Just something that has the coordinate system and the site and everything in there. So when I bring this in the Catalyst, it's going to read the AutoCAD drawing and the JXL and say, oh, this is where the CAD file goes, and it drops right into place. All right. So I can come here and say, okay, I'm going to go to my home tab, points. I'm going to create a couple points here, and I did. I'll put a point there. I'll call it driveway. Specify elevation. No elevation at this time. And I'll put another point here. and I'll call it driveway, no elevation at this time, and they're done. Okay, and so now I can select these 2 points. I can give them a standard style, and then I can go here and I can give them elevations from, oops, I don't have a surface in there. That's okay. I don't need to give them elevation, but I should give them an elevation that's on the surface. I actually did this in the home test AIW model instead. So I've done this already and then exported them out. So they're here in Trimble Business Center. You know, I would start a new file, U.S. survey foot. Okay, and just to show you what I did here. In Trimble Business Center, I went and changed my settings. I changed my coordinate system to also Missouri East. Okay. And then I had a couple points that I just imported. I can grab those here real quick. Desktop. I had them in here. Yep. And then, oh, I guess I don't have them here. Okay, so they're exported out. Oh, there it is, XML. I'll just drop that in there. It was just a couple points. I exported them out as LAN XML, and there's the 2 points that I set. Okay, from here, I go to export, and I export them as a Trimble Field Software Job XML. Selected both points. I just selected all, gave it a file name, said export, and it created that job JXL. So that's my XML file. You just renamed this JXL to be exactly the same as the DWG file. Okay. So in both cases, I went ahead and I exported out the gazebo DWG from here. So this is that finished drawing. And then I exported out the job JXL, and I brought those into Trimble Connect. Okay. And I brought a site in here. Here's my Trimble Connect. Here's my drawing. Here is my JXL that shows those 2 points. I'm now ready to bring those into SiteVision. So now I'll go overhead and we'll switch over and I'll show you how this works with SiteVision. Trimble SiteVision is a user-friendly outdoor augmented reality system that brings data to life so that you can visualize and explore complex information with unrivaled accuracy. Consists of an integrated centimeter accuracy GNSS Trimble Catalyst antenna with an integrated EDM built in. Its flexible design fits most Android phones up to 8-inch screens. It's waterproof and rugged, works handheld or pole mounted. Setup of the model within SiteVision is quite easy. Upon starting the app, it checks your subscription and makes sure everything's online. It also gives you a warning to watch the system and watch the environment you're in when you're doing it. Only operate this system where it's safe to do so. We're now ready to wait and hold the antenna straight up to wait till we get enough satellites, along with the VRS system that's part of the Trimble SiteVision subscription to give us our predefined accuracy, which is set up in the system of 1 foot. We should get better than this, and you'll see the icon in the upper left corner of the screen turn green once that correction has been made. There you can see we're down to 0.05, 0.06 foot. We now need to, the instructions say, walk at least 10 yards straight ahead to set the orientation of the system. So we pick up the system, and we're just going to go ahead and walk our 10 yards. You can see it's counting down. Once it's ready to go, you can see the icon for the compass turns green, and we're orientated properly. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and load the model. We're going to load it from Trimble Connect. We're going to browse to the folder on Trimble Connect that we saved the AutoCAD and the JXL file in earlier. And it shows the drawing. We'll check it and load it. And it's going to download that file. It's also going to set up the geoid files based upon our coordinate system and that JXL. So now it's telling me I need to walk at least 10 yards straight ahead for a second time. So I'll go ahead and do that. You can kind of see the model floating there, but the compass is red, so it's not quite oriented right. So we're walking straight to obtain an accurate orientation. 4, 3, 2, 1. Once that compass turns green and spins, we are oriented properly. And I'll back up and you can see the model already falling into place. So just like we had in the Infraworks model, here is the gazebo as shown on the site. I'll go ahead and slide the transparency slider all the way to the opaque position so you can see the model a little bit better in the background. You can see how it sits on the site as we had it in the Infraworks model and the CAD drawings. If there were layers involved, I could turn those on and off, but everything on mine is all on one layer in the drawing. If there are attributes associated with the model, you could click on the model and see those. There are none within this one. So I have some other options to do now that I've got the model positioned in the site and I've stepped back to a location where I can see it. You can see the model kind of floats a little bit. It jumps up and down. That settles itself down depending on the accuracy and the orientation again. So I'm going to get it in a good position. I'm going to hit the middle button and I'm going to take a photo of it, and it creates a to-do list. So this is where you can assign issues or comments or clashes. I'm going to make a comment, and I'm just going to enter a description that this is the model on the site. Once this is done, you can assign this to a person. When you hit send, they will get an email with this photo. It'll take them to the Trimble Connect, and they can see the issue and answer it. So I'll hit save, and it'll go ahead and create that to-do and sent it. I should have gotten an email just a couple seconds after this. I'm going to switch modes now. I'm going to go over to the measurement mode, and you could take measurements and collect data as well with this system. Right now I'm in AR mode, so I'm going to point the crosshairs at the corner of that stairs, and it takes an AR. There we see it's going to take a code, and I'll call this the stair. And that's the point details. You can see it gives me the slope distance and the northern easting elevation. I'll do both stairs here. That kind of makes sure it orients it on the site. That I can use this then and bring these points back into my Civil 3D or Infraworks model to make sure that it has been laid out properly in the field. I'm also going to take this tree now. I've switched over to GNSS mode. So just like a Trimble Catalyst now, instead of on the AR model, I'm just going to take a shot with the antenna here, and I'll change the code to tree. Again, this gets set up. I could change the names of these: northern, easting, elevation, latitude, longitude. Show you one more mode here. There's that point for the tree. It kind of throws this 3D globe there. Here at the corner of my messy planner here, I'm going to show you the EDM system. So I'll switch over to EDM mode. Oh, actually, I took another shot here with the GNSS system. Now I'm going to switch over to the EDM mode. You can see the crosshairs comes back. It takes a couple seconds to hit. The EDM is Bluetooth powered, so sometimes it doesn't connect right off the bat. I was having some issues getting it going. Here, I'll look at my hand. Nope, I didn't see the laser. There should be a visible laser. So I'll go ahead and I try it one more time. I press the button. There it is. It connected to the EDM. I can see the red dot on the bird bath. Once I took a shot, it places a virtual bubble on the bird bath, and then I'll go ahead and change the code there. And you can see the style again. It says it was an EDM shot. I will change this to bird bath, and it's pretty accurate. I'm not quite sure the accuracy. It gives me some details. You can see everything that's given me in the data. I'll get that tree. I was curious whether I was going to get that tree. Some materials don't bounce back, but you see I got a good EDM shot on that tree as well. So was able to get an accurate representation. So I'll make the code for tree as that as well. Now we'll go back to our SiteVision tools and display settings. I'm going to turn on the cross-section slider and the view distance slider just to kind of give you an an idea of some additional view options you have. You can slide the cross-section slider and kind of cut little sections of it. You can see how that lays across the land as I'm playing with it. The view distance slider comes from the back, the opposite way there as well. One more thing to do here, I can also switch between 2D and 3D view. It's that icon in the lower right, and you can see as I'm moving the system back and forth, you can kind of get an idea of what's happening with the 2D. Last thing I'm going to do is press the sync button, and it's going to sync all those points that I shot up to Trimble Connect. I will then be able to download that CSV and bring that data into my model and check those measurements versus my site. Okay, back in the field after we have viewed our model with SiteVision and taken our shots with the EDM and the AR and also with the antenna. We can see that we have a CSV file that got synchronized back. And if we go ahead and open that CSV file, I've already opened it once for you. I'll open up Excel so you can see what we end up with is a list of, and I've done this a couple times here, so just to get a brief, I'll delete some of those rows. Every time you do it, it appends to the last. But here's the basic gist of it. The date, the time, these are the numbers, these were the codes that I typed in, the type of measurement, the 2AR, the 2 of the GNSS, the EDMs, latitude, longitude, ellipsoid height. Oh, here's your state plane, northing, easting, and elevation. For the GNSS, there was my pole height as I measured, plus some additional data as I go along here, the azimuth values. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take the northing, easting, elevation, and I'm going to copy those out. I'm going to make a new sheet here, and I'll paste them in here. And I'll just make a point number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to correspond with the name here, and then I'll just throw the code on as the end here. So basically, I end up point number, northing, easting, elevation, description. So I've already done that. So with that, I'm going to come back here to Civil 3D. And in my model here, I will insert and import points from file. I'll grab that CSV file that I've exported out, and it is a PNEZD. Bring those in, and then you can see there are my points as they've fallen in. So I can select similar, give it a point style, give it a number. So these are the points that were collected in the field. I can also export these now if I wanted to. An easy way to transfer these to Infraworks would be to output export civil objects to SDF. So SDF is a proprietary data store similar to like shapefile or file geodatabase that's only you can only read it in Civil 3D, Map 3D, and Infraworks will read an SDF file. So I'll go ahead and give it a name, export it out. I've done this once. I'll just overwrite the last one I did here. Okay, so now it's exported that out. Back in Autodesk Infraworks, then I can now come here and load that SDF file, and I'll configure it for, I'll make these point of interests, and I'll change the style so it's a red flag here, and then close and refresh, and then you can see those points of interest. These are the points I shot out in the field. So it looks like I got to move that tree over a little bit. I had it in the wrong location. I could definitely slide that over and say, okay, no, the tree is really right there. That's a little more accurate, I think, because it should line up with the power pole just about. And a couple other shots here. I think one's buried underneath here. I'll have to move my shed over. Here's where that bird bath was. Here's where that other tree was. So I had that pretty close to the right spot. And then these are the two steps that were shot So I can see a little accuracy issues, but not bad at all. At least it kind of gave me some idea of that I was in the right location with my model. So that was my my tour through. So we had kind of fun. Got to play with Infraworks, Civil 3D, 3ds Max very briefly. Trimble Business Center kind of acted as the tie between the Autodesk AEC Collection and the Trimble SiteVision and Trimble Connect, back and forth between the two. Using that JXL file just allowed us to automatically place if I did not have access to Trimble Connect, I could have placed it manually instead. Maybe as part of my model, I would have added in my shed corner or the tree, and I could have used that in the field to manually place my model, and then run it that way. So the Trimble Business Center was not a necessity, but it helped me because it allowed me to automatically drop it in. So if you have any questions on this, feel free to email us at cadtechnical@seilerinst.com. You can also email me directly at mshinesk@seiler-ds.com. Please view, read, subscribe to our blog at www.seiler-ds.com/blog for Autodesk news, tips and tricks, also news on GeoSlam products, GeoSync Go, drone data, Pix4D. We have a lot of new offerings, so it keeps us busy and helps us to help you. So feel free to email us at any time and contact us if you have any questions. Thank you very much for putting up with it. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned some things and give it a try. Everybody stay healthy, stay well, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.